Welcome back to the third review of the Purge election year. This is a 2016 movie, so it's a little more recent. Um, kind of surprised
Following through
actually.
Purge week.
Yeah, well, yeah, Purge week, even though we took a little break,
Yep.
but Purge week's back. Uh, this one, so I'm just starting off with stats real quick. This one actually had a $10 million budget, so increased by $1 million.
That doesn't seem like too
It doesn't
much.
seem like too much. I didn't really notice a big difference in it, which explains the small budget increase. Um, it did, uh, actually made less. It made no, it made a little more. It made $118.6 million. So it actually did make I think about $7 million more than the last Purge movie,
I mean, that's
Purge
still
Anarchy.
pretty good
It
for
is, yeah.
better
They
return on
made they
investment.
made what 10, 11 times their budget, so it's still obviously a profitable franchise. People are interested in the franchise, and that's probably why they made two
I
more
think a
movies.
little bit why the interest increases is maybe there's a little bit of Purge in all of us.
I think this is
And
also a 2016 movie called Purge Election Year.
yeah, and for all you guys who lived through 2016, that was a great year.
It was an interesting time. Came out
Yep.
July 1st, so but this one we see the main cast. They still have Frank Grillo in here, who's Leo Barnes still. And then the rest of the cast is honestly pretty different. You have Elizabeth Mitchell, who plays Senator Charlie Roan, who is a presidential candidate who is running on ending the purge.
Yeah, so backstory a little bit. Her family, 18 years before the movie.
Yeah, so
Takes
it's
place.
2022, so it's set in the first movie is this little section.
All right, so set in the first movie as Khalil provided us. Her family was held hostage on Purge night by some psycho,
Mhm.
and at the excuse me, at the end of the movie, they play a game where the mom gets to pick which one person in their family they want to save. The mom saves the daughter,
Yeah.
who then turns out to be Charlie Roan, who, as Khalil said, becomes a senator and is running on a platform of ending the purge as it is.
Yeah, so this is so that's it like opens up and you're in this bloody room with this creepy guy talking to his family. They're all tied up and captive, and then he says like final game of the night, mommy's choice. Who does she
Yeah,
want to
it's
live?
like a variation of Sophie's Choice.
Exactly. And then like Steven just said, she chooses Roan, and Roan has to see her mom, brother,
See, I
and
wish
father
they
die.
had a elaborated. I believe it was her sister, but I wish they had elaborated a little bit more on the decision making. Like they showed the mom making the decision.
I think it was all right. I didn't really, because you don't really know them too much, so I think it was all right if it's just like, okay, and then she appears, and then they give us, oh, this is the girl that survived that night. So I don't know. I thought it was all right, but I can see what you mean, because then you might have given us a little more of her character, a little bit.
Yeah,
Because
because
she is kind of, like, and obviously this is a spoiler discussion, but she is kind of flat to me, at least throughout the movie. It's like she wants to win to end the purge, and it's an obvious motivation of why she wants to end the purge because her family all
but
died
they
to
should have
it.
gone deeper.
Yeah, like at least into maybe some of her motivations. She was trying to do it humanely, I guess, and like actually win humanely, even though there was some contradiction to her own stuff. But anyway, that's how it opens up, which is pretty. That's a good hook. It's pretty engaging.
And I just want to say, like we already disclaimed, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
So at the end of the movie, after they've already killed the new founding fathers of America's president, so the president of the United States, they're gonna kill the presidential candidate who's running on the platform of keeping the purge. I personally think they should have killed him.
I mean, they.
No, they did not,
Oh,
because they
you're right,
still
they
ran
didn't.
the election. Because
Yeah.
you don't think that someone who's a regime that's been in power for that long would not have had any tricks up their sleeves
So
to
this is the
secure the
thing.
election.
This is the thing. Okay, yeah. I agree with you this is what I agree with. So honestly, the middle of the like you basically have the beginning part. You have the first little area. Frank Grillo, who's Leo, he is the Secret Service agent assigned to protect the senator, and so you kind of have that. Honestly, the whole middle of the movie is kind of like filler, just to get to the end. In my opinion,
I did like
but
Oh no, go ahead.
I like the characters, but I do think it's filler because I think what really is the crux of it is what you're saying here, where so essentially the people that run the NFFA, which is the New Founding Fathers of America, they are part of I guess a ministry, like a church organization,
Like a
almost.
cult.
Yeah, it's
Like
a
some
cult.
Jones
It's what we
Town
talked about
shit.
in the first review. They're basically a cult.
Pardon the language.
Yeah, yeah. But it's and so essentially what they take part of this like mass on Purge night. It's basically like the Purge party in the first movie, but this one is specifically called. I'm just going through my notes. Uh, the Holy Horde of Many Martyrs, and so they have this Purge party essentially in this church where they all the founding fathers and their family are in the
Yeah.
pews, and the minister who's the candidate for them, whose name is Owens, is like preaching to them about like why the purge is good and why it's holy and why we have to purge because they're not hypocrites and they practice what they preach and to purify their souls.
That is true.
And yeah, but and so essentially this holy horde of many martyrs is essentially a thing where they've just kidnapped a lot of poor people or just random people on the street and are gonna just kill them all to all cleanse their souls together, which you see. But it's some very cultish, sadistic stuff that happens. And obviously, you guys have probably watched the movie, or if you haven't, you honestly don't need to now because we just explained, explained what happened.
Watch this review and give a like.
Watch it a second time
and
just to be
share
safe.
it, and share it to other people so they can also too like and subscribe.
Exactly. Now that we got that out of the way, but
Or
yeah.
else if the purge happens, we're coming for you.
Happy purging. But but what I do agree with you with on this is that essentially the anti-NFFA, the organization against it, who used to be run by Carmelo Johns. So it sounds like he's died, because this takes place 17 years after the last movie where that organization is founded. And Dante,
he definitely could have died,
I think
when they rated the rich person's like most dangerous game.
Oh, maybe. I was even thinking
because they just show them like continue shooting up their like.
Yeah, they don't
party.
really show him after. Yeah.
He could have easily have been killed there. We don't know. I mean, there's
but that's
a lot
why
of potholes in this series.
Yeah, so this takes place in 2040, and Dante Bishop is the new leader of the movement. So he's seen as his successor, and then essentially they do what Johns did, where they would go around and kill pro-Purge people on Purge night, or in this they actually show a triage center that Dante set up to help. Essentially, if someone's like hurt on the street, they'll send these ambulances and pick them up and bring them back and actually treat them as like a little way to resist the Purge.
And I think that was a better.
I like that touch.
I like the touch a bit more than if you just show in the second movie Purge Anarchy with the anti-NFFA, where they just kind of show them.
It was purely violence, basically.
Yeah, it's totally driven by violence and spilling the blood of the new founding fathers of America, and it's just basically another militia group.
And this way
into the mix.
Exactly.
Whereas this one, it does give them a little bit of humanity, and then the sense that they're going to help like anyone out on the Purge, which there was a couple people that they should probably not have helped.
But but this one is. I also like this. To your point, it shows a little humanity. It also shows that they obviously actually care about the people in the area. They're not just saying it to try to gain something. Like, they obviously care about these people because they're their neighbors, they're their brother, their sisters, their cousins, all of this.
Yeah.
And so it gives that at the very beginning of the movie, you kind of see that there's like riots in the Capitol and everything, and people are clearly fed up after.
Wow, they predicted some serious stuff.
Yeah, after 22 years of like purges, they've essentially been fed up, and they're like, okay, this is stupid. We need to stop this, because at this point, unlike the first movie where there was only, I think we said 5 years of purges.
That was 6 years.
It was the fifth. It was the fifth because the second movie is a 6 year. But you already see how indoctrinated they are in the Purge, even though it's only been 5 years.
Yeah.
This is 22 years, so this is like a generation now. And so, to me, this would actually make more sense if the first movie took 22 years after the Purge, because then you can understand why they're so indoctrinated. But this is interesting that obviously they resent these people, because a lot of the older people have been alive before the Purge and after the Purge, and they see how maybe now it's not working anymore like they thought it did. And it's just being used for, like we talked about in the last review, like capitalism and elite greed.
Yeah, just the elimination of poor people to reduce the burden on the welfare system in America.
Yeah.
Which they kind of also harp at in this movie.
They do. Yeah.
And I feel like there's less lore produced in this movie, except for I did like how at the end, I think it sets up for.
It sets up the Forever Purge, I think.
I think it sets up the Forever Purge and how like the NFFA followers are not going to go down without a fight because like as Khalil said that like this is a cult like mentality, and of course just because you're voted out of power, I mean you can look at almost any regime and throughout human history that there is going to be some sort of revolt to keep operating under what they believe is the correct status quo.
Exactly, and like any politician, obviously, like, and I'm not comparing them regime. It's not a regime; it's different. But like, if you look at like someone like John McCain in '08, like he still won quite a few votes. So it's like he had supporters, and like obviously Barack Obama won by quite a bit.
But they are not as.
Yeah, I'm not trying to compare it like that whatsoever. I'm just saying, like, even in a democratic society, like you still have hardcore supporters of certain people. And
I mean, we saw that with our last.
And even then, it's like, but in this particular scenario, it was basically until the very end. But at the moment the purge takes place, it's like a 50-50 split in the country. Like 50% of the people back the NFFA, and 50% of the people back the Roan, who's the opposing candidate.
And I'm sure the people who back the purge are obviously wealthy people, but they could also have been, just to play the devil's advocate, people who had saw that inflation had dropped. They bought into what poverty had dropped.
Yeah, exactly.
And over time, they kept using that justification of that
initial drop and everything.
Yeah, whether it was morally correct. Yeah. And I personally like this movie more than Anarchy. And I liked how they brought back Frank Grillo as Leo Barnes, and how that they tied back into the story about his son getting killed, and how he talks about how he could have made a big mistake on Purge night.
They do touch on that, actually.
That he could have killed the guy who killed, as we said in the last movie review, his son was killed by a drunk driver, not during the Purge, but he was given a...
he got off on a technicality.
Yeah, he got off on a technicality in court, so the whole point is he's going to go kill him, but he doesn't, and I think that makes him realize that the Purge, that the breakdown of law, even if it's on for 12 continuous hours, just doesn't benefit man.
Yeah.
And that I really think it was just masterfully crafted on having that continuation or that callback to the second movie, Purge Anarchy. And I'm going to ask you this. So we're going through the ratings, right? You ranked first, when we first watched just the first Purge, you gave it a 7 out of 10. When we watched Purge Anarchy, you gave that first Purge 6 out of 10, and you gave 7 out of 10 to Purge Anarchy.
Yeah.
Now that you've seen Purge Election Year, what is your ranking, and how does it compare to the other two that we've seen so far?
So I want to come back to this in a second, just because I do also want to say... I realize I don't think I ever actually fully touched on the point that you said earlier. So I want to come back to the rankings in like a few minutes. But what you said about we see him they don't kill him. Dante doesn't kill him because Roan is like, he can't be a martyr. Like let me beat him fair and square so we can officially just end this regime.
So it's a legitimate election.
Yeah, which I do agree with the legitimacy of the election. I also agree that I don't understand how he would be a martyr. Because to be a martyr, in my opinion, like if they successfully killed Roan, she would be a martyr because she died to go against the status quo, essentially.
And
she died against
her cause.
Exactly. But if they just killed this guy, he died on Purge night, and this is actually something we probably should have brought up. The reason that they're able to even kill these people legally is because they got rid of the protection on politicians, Class 10 politicians, or government officials it was, because they wanted to kill Roan.
Yeah.
So
she's a senator. They're all like, wow, why don't we just hire a team? It backfired.
Yeah, they hired some neo-Nazis to go and kill her.
They lose the president, and they also lose the,
Yeah, they lose a lot of their leaders, and a lot of their following gets wiped out. And their election loses. I'm honestly gonna. So there's these other characters. I'm gonna skip most of this. There's these other characters called Joe and Marcos, who I like them as characters, honestly. They help the senator and Leo to be saved from these guys who essentially. There's been a new industry called what was it? Murder tourism, where people come from foreign countries to America.
Yeah, they want to experience in the rush of the purge.
Yeah, like Russia, South America, or not South America, South Africa. Thank you.
Spain,
yeah, Spain
and they
too.
come to just partake in the purge,
just to be an American.
Yeah, like they talk about a lot, like they want to be American in that. And at one
Yeah.
point, they do corner the Senator Roan and Frank Grillo.
Yeah, and they
And
almost
they're
kill
going to
them,
kill them
and then
until Joe, Dixon, and Marcos
yeah, come out and
show
basically
up
kill
and
them all
basically
and save
waste
them.
them.
Yeah, they
And they
save
save them and take them back to Joe's shop where he owns, which is a deli.
Yeah. But and so I'm just gonna skip through this real quick because I don't think it's that important. There's essentially these teenagers that show up because they want to kill Joe because earlier or the day before the purge, he and this other girl named Lainey, who apparently is some pro purger, and now she helps run the triage center.
Yeah, she sounded like a badass because the shoplifter at the beginning of the movie who ends up coming back
Yeah.
is like, wow, you have a reputation. Like, I wish I'd known you when you were a badass.
Yeah, going
'Cause
around,
she
like,
does
killing
stop
people and
her.
everything.
She stops these two girls from robbing Joe Dixon's deli
Yeah,
store.
for taking a candy bar, and then the
Yeah.
whole like just periodically throughout the movie they show this girl coming up with like, a pretty cool car actually, and has like little Christmas lights wrapped around it, just coming up and just being like, I want my candy bar. I'm gonna get my candy
She
bar.
really wants that
And
candy
it's like she
bar.
killed her parents earlier in the night. I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't like. I like Joe and Leo and Lainey, but I don't understand these girls. So I'm just gonna
It's
skip
just,
through
like
that
you
because
said,
I think
it was
it's pointless.
filler. I think
Yeah.
you are right in the sense that
And this
those
this
scenes
all
are
takes
filler,
place in the
but
middle
it
of
does
it.
show Lainey being a badass. She runs them down with her car.
Yeah, I like all the characters. I like their arcs and everything, or little arcs. They have mini arcs throughout it. But yeah, and I'm just gonna skip that. But I just want to touch on that so you guys understand what happened in the middle.
Yeah.
But
Do you
but
want to
yeah.
get back to the ratings?
Yeah,
So how do
that's
you
where I
feel
wanna
that
go to.
one, ranking this movie standalone? What's your ranking? Two, compared to the other two that we've seen so far in this series in Purge Week, how do you rate that? Compare it to the other two we've seen.
This is gonna sound really odd. After seeing this movie, I want to lower my first Purge score.
Okay.
Because
But standalone, first off, what do you think
standalone
of this movie we've seen tonight?
Standalone. I'm gonna try to not be influenced by my prior scores, but standalone, I would give this movie a 6. I think I would give it a 6.
You're giving it a 6?
6.
That's what you gave the first Purge when we first watched that.
Yeah, that's why I think now the first Purge is a 5.5 because this is my order, and I think this is a better way of actually ranking them than what we've been doing is just like them against each other, because I think that for me, from best to worst, I like Anarchy the best. I like Anarchy better than this just because I like that they established more lore about it, and I like honestly the acting. The acting was good in this too, but I like it a lot better in there, even with like the villains that they had and everything. Because this one had like Anarchy, it had a lot of settings, had a lot of villains. But for me, Anarchy seemed a little more concise, like
more realistic.
Exactly, kind of going through it. Versus this, it was kind of like 4 different stories in the beginning, and they like it's so similar to Anarchy in that sense. But for me, I don't know what it was. Just Anarchy works better for me than this does.
Do you feel that
I also think I think they should have got rid of Leo. I like Frank Grillo a lot as an actor. I like him in this movie, but I think it should have been totally new people.
Or do you feel that building off of the other success of the... Okay, so now that you say you like Anarchy out of this one...
Yeah, for me it goes Anarchy, this one, so Election
Do you
Year,
wish the other ones had not
Purge.
happened, or do you think they were needed to build up
No.
the series? Because as you talked about how in Anarchy they do talk or develop the lore a little bit more, do you think that just like they did it because they knew there's going to be a whole series?
I think it's clear in that it's and the first Purge obviously was a test trial. They were just doing it, and it's like, man, that was a massive success. We did a $3 million movie. It made $90 million almost. Yeah, massive success. We're gonna make a franchise. I think that second movie they know what they're doing, and I honestly, yeah. So I think they knew what they were doing, and they're like, okay, we're gonna make a franchise out of this. Where in a sense, I think they knew they were gonna make a third movie, and then because they allude to the Forever Purge at the end of this movie, so that makes me think that they knew that they were going to make at least a fourth movie. I don't know if the fourth movie, which comes out that we're going to review next, is called First Purge. So I assume that's like what was the first Purge like? How did it get founded?
I think that's gonna be interesting because this is a whole new concept and social theory that they're putting to the test in the American streets, and
it's how do people react to it?
Yeah, because I mean, like, how do you?
And we'll get to finally see why it was so bad that they felt like they needed a purge.
I really hope they discuss like what America was like before the new founding fathers. Yeah. Even if it's just after they take power. Yeah. But before the first purge was implemented. Because
the new founding fathers, the new founding fathers was established 3 years before the first purge, and then they enacted the purge. It sounded through executive order they enacted the purge. Yeah. So there's not really a law about it, like a congressional rule. But this is what was I saying? Oh yeah, the first purge. I don't know if that was planned or not, but I think it will be interesting. But yeah, that's how it goes for me right now. Is probably I put Anarchy at a 7 because I actually think that's a good movie. I put this one at a 6, and I put the first Purge at a 5.5. No, this one, I'd put this one at 6.5 in comparing it to other movies. I put this one at 6.5 because I think it's just below Anarchy for me, and then I put the first Purge at 5.5.
I'm going before you.
Yeah. What's
I'm
your
going
rankings?
First Purge still needed to set up the storyline.
I agree.
I'm going First Purge again, like I said, 7 out of 10. I'm going 8 out of 10 for these next two because I feel like the storyline continuously flows and the acting is phenomenal in both Anarchy and Election Year, and I hope they keep it up with the first Purge. I think they're going to rely a little bit more on lore, and I really can't wait to see the Forever Purge because I want to see just America. I mean, I don't want to see because I live in this country, but I like
on the big screen.
Yeah, on the big screen in Hollywood. I want to see them. I want to see what it's like. It's like just America. Like the country just like explodes into just like forever
Purge.
There's no law. There's a breakdown of just civilization, and
it will be interesting too because like we were saying earlier, at the very end of this movie they allude to that, like it's the very last line, and so obviously they knew they were going to set that up, and so it will be interesting because we're essentially going to see like right after this movie what has happened after Roan actually wins her election. Like, will she actually be able to go into power?
I guess I never really thought about that.
Is she actually even going to be able to?
Or do you think that people just go crazy on their own?
I think they just kind of go crazy. I think that the Forever Purge, obviously neither of us have seen it. I've seen a trailer for it, which I normally don't do, but for this one I did.
Don't worry, we will see this movie though.
Yeah, we will see this movie. But I kind of feel like this is the last movie they're going to... I haven't researched anything about this, but I feel like... How would they continue from here? Like, I feel like...
Forever Purge Part 2, man.
Maybe,
as we saw in Toy Story 4, people are just gonna milk everything.
Okay. We have disagreements on that movie, but do you want to real quick? Should I tell you what the Rotten Tomatoes scores are? Because I looked it up after we gave our rankings. For just
election year.
Yeah, or I can give them.
I think I've seen. It's like they're all like 5 out of 10s.
No, so the first Purge. I'm just gonna do the Rotten Tomatoes scores. There are different scores here for like the Mediatric and IMDb and Google users, which don't trust Google users, but. For Rotten Tomatoes, for the first Purge, it's 39%. Still made a ton of money though, because it's horror. Really it's horror movies.
But you also have to think Rotten Tomatoes is also critics.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm looking up
the everyday working man.
Yeah, the Purge. What was it on? I mean, even audience score was lower. Audience score was a 36 on the first Purge. That's kind of interesting because the critics and the audience are very close together there. And then for for Purge Anarchy, which I give a 7 and you gave an 8. For this one, they didn't get near where we said. This one, it has a 57% on the critic reviews and a 56% on audience scores. So again, very close scores. So that's kind of interesting. And then final thing here, which is Purge Election Year, which you also gave an 8. So you gave it a close score. I gave it a little lower. This one on the critic score is actually 56, but the audience score is a 48. So this one's the most split out of any of the movies between the critics and the audience.
If you look back at 2016 from a pre-COVID lens.
So maybe because they're touching on a lot of political elements that is happening in the environment.
Like anyone who lived in the United States will understand that the election between
Trump and Hillary.
Yeah, between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump was very concisive and very dividing. Yeah. It's probably one of the, I think, this isn't a politics. This is an NPR politics podcast. But I think
I
by
think
that
you can
point,
understand the
Americans weren't
context.
going to go to the movies to watch something about politics, you know?
Yeah, well, because this movie came out July 1st in 2016, so that probably means it was filmed maybe early 2015. But even
Yeah,
then, you can kind of see, you would already have seen the
the
candidates
candidates.
emerging and everything,
And who
especially
was
for
really
these
going
guys.
to emerge as the RNC candidate and who was really going to emerge as the DNC candidate,
Yeah,
which we
you
both
might get a
know would
feel
probably
for
have
it.
been Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at that time period, you might have got a feel for it and everything, especially with Hillary. So yeah, but anyway, yeah, I don't have anything
So
else
I
to
think
say
we're
for
going to
the
continue
review.
on with Purge Week. We're going to watch the first Purge, so you'll see that one next. And
Hmm.
then me and Claire are going to go to the movies for the first time since
Yeah,
December 2019.
watch the Forever
And we're going
Purge.
to watch the Forever Purge.
Well, yeah, thanks for sticking with us,
Yep.
guys. It's
Have a
been a
good
good
night
Purge
or
week.
whenever you're watching this. And happy hunting and happy purging.
See you guys.